Shalom from Jerusalem. This is Uriel, Independent News, Yerushalayim, Israel. Ma'am, what do you think about the land of Israel?
Well, for me that's a loaded question because I'm a tour guide. I'm a licensed tour guide, so I can stand here all day long and talk about the land of Israel. It's impossible to get bored here. No matter what you like to do, you can do it here, whether it's surfing or scuba diving or skiing, exploring caves, jumping into waterfalls. Sometimes we have caves and waterfalls at the same time. The people are extremely creative. You can go to any nook or middle of the nowhere place in Israel and somebody's doing something incredibly creative. Either an innovative program for children, an innovative invention, creative art studio, dance, meditation. Like, you just never know what to expect when you're traveling around this country, because quite honestly, it's a country of Jews, and the Jewish people tend to be very creative, and people who try to reach for the beyond, whatever that is, whatever their limitations are, they try to go beyond that and find as much meaning in life as possible, as a general rule, whether they're religious or not.
Now, let me ask you another question. As you know, last week, 26 terrorists were released over into Gaza and Ramallah. Do you think that the American government should dictate to Israel what to do in regards to trying to sit down and negotiate with the Palestinians?
I think they could have released Jonathan Pollard if they're asking us to do that. I mean, I was just reading in the paper this morning reactions from kids who lost their siblings in terror attacks, and their murderers are walking free now. I don't see how this will do any good at all for Israel or for anyone. I just don't see the point.
Now, do you think that Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president, do you think that he really wants peace? As far as we know, he continues to support terror against Israel.
I don't think he wants peace. I think it's a temporary step. I think you're going to have to edit part of this because my mind's a blank suddenly.
Do you think that Mahmoud Abbas wants peace, yes or no?
I think peace on his terms, which means no Israel.
No.
I think that's basically his game plan.
You know, we've seen what happened over in Gush Katif, where 9,000 plus Jews were displaced out of their homes, and we have received over 14,000 rockets, and they continue to fire towards Israel. Me as a Jew, I want peace, and the majority of Jews that I interview, they also want peace. Do you want peace?
Yeah, for sure. But I don't see how it can happen because, look, there's a lot of people in the world who are upset that there's a Jewish country. But I want to say to them, we can't help it. You know, it says over and over again in the Bible, like a broken record, the land is promised to the Jews. And just look in the Bible. And it's like saying you don't want salmon to return back to their spawning grounds to spawn. Salmon must return. And according to the Jewish religion, Jews must return to the land of Israel. This is the unraveling of human history. And if it wasn't for the Jewish people and the Jewish religion, there would be no Christianity or Islam. There would be none. And so I think, logically, they should take a look at what they think and feel and step back and let us have a Jewish country here. But I don't see how that's possible, because Islam has changed the whole story around. And they say that instead of Abraham almost sacrificing Isaac on the Temple Mount, Abraham almost sacrificed Ishmael, who they learned from the Jews that they're all, descended from, the Arab nation, the Arab people. That Abraham is almost sacrificing Ishmael on the Kaaba stone in Mecca, which is the whole reason why Muslims do the Hajj. And I think that the fact that the Jews are fulfilling the biblical prophecy by coming back here, it's a slap in the face to every Muslim. They can't deal with that. And I think that you can talk politics, schmolitics, but the root problem going on in the Middle East here between the Jews and the Arabs is that it's a religious group that goes very, very deep. I know it's going to sound a little bit odd, but it goes so deep that it goes to the biblical story of Ishmael being asked to leave the tent when Abraham asked Ishmael to leave, and then many centuries after that, Muhammad comes along and he changes the story. And he says Ishmael wasn't kicked out of the tent. The Jews and the Christians got together and they changed the words of the revelation of God at Mount Sinai, and that the Bible was false, and that what really happened was that Abraham almost sacrificed Ishmael on the cobblestone in Mecca, and that they took, it's like a steam shovel, they came and they shunted the destiny of the Jewish people to the Muslims. So again, the fact that the Jewish people are here and we have our own state means that Muslims just will never ever be able to accept that. And I just don't see a way out of here except God has a big surprise for us up his sleeve. You know, we can talk, we can have peace talks, I just don't see a way out of this. I want to be optimistic. You know?
We all do. We all do. But it's about learning history and the foundations of Islam.
I think what has to happen is that the Muslims have to know that God loves them too. I think the Muslims have a very gut-level inferiority complex, and that they're spending their whole lives trying to prove themselves through hatred and anger of everyone else, trying to prove themselves and forced their religion on everybody else. And what they really, really have to know is that God loves them.
I agree.
And they need to take a deep breath, sit back, and enjoy life. I have a friend who just told me last week that she knew a fantastic Muslim man who was getting his master's degree, I forget in what. And he said the subject came up of evolution and whether people were descended from apes or not. And this Muslim man, who's a wonderful, wonderful guy, who was studying for a master's degree, said to my friend that Muslims are not descended from apes. Everybody else is. He believes in evolution, except Muslims aren't descended from apes. And I just looked at my friend and I said, well, what about people who convert to Islam? You know, do they magically weren't descended from apes anymore? So, it's this kind of medieval mentality. I think they have to take a deep breath and understand that God loves them as much as anybody else.
This is Uriel, Independent News, Jerusalem, Israel. Shalom.